Hi, welcome back to Guessagaingaming. I'm back in Watch Dogs Legion, as you probably guessed, because I'm always there when I'm making videos about gaming news or just generally making videos. And we're in East London, in a very dubious looking alley behind a station called Chadwell. It's in East London. It's not the greatest area, and it's even less nice now in Watch Dogs Legion. I found an umbrella in case it rains or it's too sunny either. You never know in London. Apparently it's protecting these news publications, although who's going to walk down this alley to get them? I can't imagine. But anyway, we've come down the alley to make the video. What's the video about? It's about multiplayer games. So if you look back on the channel many years, and it has been many years now, or you've watched it before, you'll know that I used to make lots of videos about gaming news in general, especially woke stuff, multiplayer stuff, scam games, things like that. And I kind of cut down a lot because I got fed up with hearing it all. There's so much you have to look into when you're making those videos. You have to watch obviously lots of news about gaming, and it's all rather sad and annoying. And I got to the point where I just got fed up with it all. Not gaming and not making videos, but with the way gaming industry goes, with all the woke stuff and all the scams and the useless multiplayer games. And I stopped doing it, and I decided to only make videos about gaming news when it was either something really major or something that affected me. This comes into the category of kind of major, doesn't affect me. It's about multiplayer games, as I said. So if you watch the channel again before, you'll know that I don't play multiplayer games. I played the Division and Division 2 a lot, but not multiplayer. I did play them online because they have to be online, but I didn't play the multiplayer. But obviously I watch gaming news, even though I don't make videos about it much now. And of course I know about Highguard and Marathon and their failures. Highguard's complete failure, and Marathon looks like it may join the Highguard Concord club. And I just wanted to say something I said ages ago about this subject. Multiplayer games are very unique in that it's not like single player games, obviously, but what I mean by that is, you'll know, again, if you watch the channel, I play lots of different games. For the channel, but also in my free time, I switch in and out of different games all the time because you can. There's no commitment. I can play Watch Dogs Legion, XCOM, Cyberpunk, Witcher, anything I want in any order, half an hour, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 2 hours of that any other day, jump between them and a PC game, and it's fine. But multiplayer games need much more commitment. Obviously you've got the commitment to being online, and if you're playing on a console then you need a subscription like PlayStation Plus, and if you're playing anywhere you need your team, your co-op, so you need to coordinate with other people when you're going to play. So it needs much more investment in time. And there's already a lot of multiplayer games. We know that, you know, it doesn't matter whether it's Call of Duty or Outriders or Helldivers or Ark Raiders or Destiny, I could go through lists. There's lots of very, very popular ones already. And the amount of people in gaming who are going to want to play multiplayer online games with a team or co-op is what there is now. There's not going to be a whole load of new people who are going to jump into that. If you put out a new IP of a single player game, people might jump at it, like Baldur's Gate. People will run to it because there's time to play lots of different single player games. But if you make a multiplayer game, loads of people who play single player games aren't suddenly going to start playing it. They're not, trust me, they're not. You may get a few more, but those people are probably more likely to gravitate towards the games that are already well-known IPs, such as Call of Duty or Destiny. So you're going to be moving people from other games that are multiplayer to your new game, and that's difficult in itself because there's a very, very limited market, limited new market. So that's the first thing, and then you've got the fact that you've got to make a fantastically good one. I mean, Concord failed, for example, because there was no real market for it and it was rubbish. But you'd have to make an amazingly good one to knock out all the multiplayer games and take people from all of those, because not only are they good, they're established, and people already have their teams and their setups. So why would you go and play Marathon if you've already been playing Helldivers or Arc Raiders or Outriders or Call of Duty or whatever, First Ascendant, you wouldn't. So, and a few people may, or not a few, but people may go and look at the new ones, but it would take them to be outstanding and different for them to stick with it. I mean, Highguard didn't look very good, and it may well have been financed by Tencent, but Marathon was financed by Bungie and made by Bungie, and so they're almost competing with Destiny, which they made. So rather than making Destiny 3, they've made Marathon. And you think, well, why would you do that? Because some of the people you're going to take are going to be from Destiny anyway. Why don't you just keep making your successful IP? It's strange. Because like I said, and I'm not an expert on multiplayer games, I don't play them, but of course I've seen them all. And they all have a very similar theme, because they're multiplayer games. You're in your co-op, you're in your team, you're player versus player, whatever it might be, player versus environment, and you're running around, shooting, getting loot in different ways. Some of the art style is very different in all these games, and the situations are different. Of course, Call of Duty is different from Arc Raiders, it's different from Destiny, space and fantasy and war. But the premise is very similar, and there's never going to be a particularly new premise, because that's always going to be running around, shooting enemies, shooting the other team, shooting the AI, whatever it might be, and getting loot and completing missions. So it would take something amazing to knock any of those games, and you wouldn't suddenly get everyone coming from all those games to a new game, and you certainly, like I said, haven't got a whole new group of people waiting to play a multiplayer game. And like I said, if they're going to play one of the established ones. If I wanted to play a multiplayer game now, and I was thinking which one, I'd go for one of the established ones. I don't know which one, it depends what kind of thing I'd want to do. But I'd go for one of the established ones, I wouldn't go for a brand new one. So they're not really, there's not really a market for it. The market is basically that the AAA gaming industry wants multiplayer games, because you've got to be online, they can make more money out of it, they can do different things with online games and multiplayer games than they can do with a single player game, because once a single player is done, other than DLCs, it's done. So they want people to do that. But that doesn't mean there's a market for it, and that's not stopped them. So even if all these games were really good, these new ones, Concord, Highguard, Marathon, they'd be struggling. And I'm not saying they are really bad. I mean, Concord was, and Highguard didn't look like much. Marathon, it looks like a multiplayer game with people running around shooting and fighting it. That's what it looks like to me. That's just how it looks. If you showed me that and put a number of the other games I've mentioned in a row, they all have the same feel. Helldivers, Arc Raiders, Outriders, First Ascendant, whatever. Anyway. And the other thing that's really upsetting and annoying is that, they have this money. It's like when they made really bad woke games like Veilguard, Dragon Age Veilguard. And they have the money. The money's there to make a new IP, a great new IP like Baldur's Gate or like Clair Obscura, and start a whole new gaming franchise, but they won't, because they're obsessed with making these multiplayer games. And all that money that they've wasted, all that money that went on Concord, all that money that went on Highguard, I don't care where it came from, all that money that's gone on Marathon, that could have gone on making good new IPs for single player games, or games that were at least single player and might have the option to be multiplayer. Because really, when's the last time we found a really, really good new AAA gaming franchise anyway that's not multiplayer? Anything. And Baldur's Gate's not new, so that's not a new one. I'm not talking about indie games, because we're all stuck with the same things. Look how well Resident Evil does, because it's an established game. Look at GTA, because they're established games. But new games, new IPs that have got that facility to go on and on, you get these things like Forspoken that are, poor and bad, and that's what I mean. The money could have been dedicated to make something. You may not like Watch Dogs Legion, many people didn't, but it's different because of the fact you play as many different agents in London, and that's a different thing, and the game looks fine, and it's a different idea. And whether you like it or not, as I've said many times on this channel, different is good, because that means someone's taking a chance. And I don't care if you don't like Watch Dogs Legion, that's your prerogative, but you can't say didn't try something different, because it is. And you know, that's what we want in gaming. We want AAA games that are different, trying something new, not just throwing woke and multiplayer and the same stuff because that's kind of what they want to do. So, you know, they're not thinking about what gamers want, they're, as always, thinking about what they want, and that's, of course, a bad marketing strategy for any industry. Anyway, thanks for watching. Like I said, it's not something that's affected me, but it does affect me as, not as a YouTube channel producer, but just as a gamer, because it annoys me that they have such little disregard, A, for gamers, B, for common sense, and 3, for money. They just throw away these huge amounts of money on these games that, you know, it's just gone, that could have been used for other games, or if you can't be bothered to make a decent game, give it to an indie company and let them make a good game. Anyway, thanks for watching Guessagaingaming. Till next time, take care for now.